All right, David. I know we're both equally excited about today's episode because we're kicking off a new series that we're going to throw into our normal weekly episodes from time to time called Retrospective. It's just a chance for us to kind of flashback to childhood icons that made such a lasting impact in our life, legends of nostalgia, if you will. So we both agreed pretty easily that this first episode would be none other than the one, the only, Mr. Robin Williams. David and I, in advance, we just agreed on kind of just his top 5 movies from specifically when we were kids. You know, the first movie we're going to go right into is this.
But never duplicated. Genie of the Lamp.
Oh, Aladdin, or as my daughter now calls this, Papa's movie, which I think is kind of cool. I don't know if she thinks I'm Aladdin or what, but she's like Papa's movie, Aladdin. And she can kind of say Aladdin, but she actually really she's watched it 2 times in a row now, and this was one of those movies that I watched. I would call a lot of these movies everyday movies.
Yeah.
Because they were wholesome. They were good. And of course, this is Disney's Aladdin, so I get that. But the other movies too, like my mom had no problem throwing those on.
Oh, for sure.
They were great. Aladdin, 1992. So, I was like 5 or 6. But it still holds. Like I just said, I showed it to my daughter, and I'm glued to the TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He stole that movie 100%. Like it's like when I was looking things up about Aladdin, I thought to myself, I'm just like, that really was the first time you had a big celebrity do voiceover. Like, I feel like he was a pivot in the industry because of just how amazing that he just defined that movie. If you did any other just voice actor in it, it would have been good. It had a great storyline and a great like theme to it, and it was wholesome, like you said. But Robin just brought so much to that film as the genie. It was so good.
He was a game changer. And you're right. Like, so I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and of course, what I'm about to say is not true. We learn later that he's the main first character you see. Mm-hmm. He does the voice for that character, but the genie doesn't show up until 35 minutes into the movie.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but once it happens, it's like the dial's turned way up, and you could tell. And you're right, Aladdin's cool. There's a flying carpet. There's like running. It's like parkour, I guess.
Oh yeah,
for Disney. But yeah, once you see the genie, it's a game changer.
Let me take your order, jot it down. You ain't never had a friend like me.
So the next film that we're going to move into is actually transitioning from an animated movie, but it actually is a live action version of another popular animated movie. So here we go.
I'll tell you what a paramecium is. That's a paramecium. It's a one-cell critter with no brain that can't fly. Don't mess with me, man. I'm a lawyer.
Hook. Man, I remember having the sword he had with the coconut half shell. It lit up. I just remember jumping off the couch wanting to fly, as I imagine a lot of kids were. I rewatched that scene over and over because he like moves a step down and then jumps off and tries to fly. It's just hilarious.
I agree with you. I also jumped off of a lot of high objects. Stairs, dressers, like our porch off of our front lawn. Like, I'm surprised I didn't break anything specifically because of the movie Hook. But the weird thing is, and this just goes to show how stuff like this can get embedded into your brain as a kid, and that kind of whimsical nature of it. Is I remember having dreams after this movie for months about being able to fly.
Oh, sure.
Like recurring dreams of being able to fly. And it's so amazing that it's able to get into a kid's like subconscious that way. But it was I never really was into the animated version, the Disney Peter Pan.
Okay.
Like that really didn't connect with me for some reason. So to see this version where even I remember watching it as a kid and wondering, now this isn't Peter Pan. Like, he's not acting like Peter Pan. He's just, he's just a lawyer, like he says in the clip, and I loved the fact that they emphasized the Lost Boys in trying to have children lure out his inner child. Like, that was such a cool storyline. It was so good.
And as a kid, it didn't make sense to me now. It would have been like a throwaway line, but I love that he whispers to Hook, I think it's Hook, that he's got a fear of heights.
Yes.
But he's Peter Pan. He's flying.
Yeah.
He's supposed to fly. I just love that adult version of him has now a fear of heights. I just think that's classic writing. I did not have dreams of flying. I had dreams of the food fight. I
really?
had dreams of that scene and and I remember pretending and smelling just like the Lost Boys did. And, and then he flicks the spoon. He's gained the confidence. He believes in himself. And then the food shows up on Rufio's face. But it all looks so good as a kid.
Yeah. He was the right person at the right time in the right films to literally make you laugh, but also they snuck in teaching you something.
Yes.
Like that they snuck in like being able to grapple with the idea of fear or being afraid of something or not believing in yourself. Like this whole movie,
totally.
he is a man that doesn't believe in himself.
In a way, it just kind of reminded young David didn't know that, but adult David's like, yeah, have some balance in your life. Robin Williams is still teaching me things, and it's a lot of times it's through humor, and I love that. And it's just like, have some balance in your life.
So the next one we're going to move on to is quite a pivot, I feel like, from Hook, is that I feel like it had a lot more comedy in it, and it just had quite an interesting storyline to it. So here we go.
I saw it. Some angry member of the kitchen staff. Did you not tip them? Oh, the terrorists, they ran that way. It was a run by fruiting.
It was a run by fruiting.
It was a run by fruiting.
It was a wholesome, fun movie with some heavy stuff, though.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to
Divorced
my wife.
parents, yeah, like a lot of heavy stuff.
Well, Robin Williams lost his job and wife in the same day.
Yeah.
He walked off the job he had, and then, she's like, it's over. I want a divorce.
Yeah.
And all he did was throw the kid the best birthday party ever.
Yeah, brought a pony to the party, like all of these great things that like I do. You're right. I remember as a kid being like, this is the coolest dad ever. What in the world? What is she doing divorcing him? Like it was just so
Come on, Sally Fields.
Yeah,
right?
seriously.
It was Sally Fields, right?
Yeah, it was Sally Field.
Watching Mrs. Doubtfire, the scene that comes to mind that I think we rewound so much is when he's got to make tea for the social worker.
Oh, yeah.
And he's pretending to be his sister while pretending to be himself and
Yes.
going back and forth. And something, simple. And I get there's some complexity there. But Robin Williams just does it beautifully, and he makes it seem effortless.
He does.
Yeah, you get lost in it for a little bit. That wasn't this dad. That wasn't their dad. This is Euphegenia Doubtfire.
Yeah.
He made it so believable. But as a kid, what crushed me was like, in my head, oh, sweet, we're going to have fun. This is awesome. But no, he starts making them do chores.
Yeah.
And their homework and no
Right.
TV. Like, totally changed the routine. You're like, wait, what? It's just interesting to think about. And there's going to really sad part. Like, if you had just done this
Yeah.
in your relationship,
Yeah, you didn't need to do all this effort. Yeah.
but I know that their love was different. Like they had fallen out of love with each other, but you just start seeing him wish he had been that person during that time. But at the same time, that wasn't totally him. He had to learn some things.
It was a very comical way of depicting somebody learning how they should have always acted. That he learned how to be a father through being a Scottish old lady nanny.
Yeah.
It's like it was a crazy learning curve, but it was very funny in the way that they did it. All right, so the next one we're going to go into actually is another pivot. I feel like we're kind of yo-yoing back and forth between these different movies. So here we go with number 4.
His fangs are sharp. He likes your taste. Your party better move post haste.
That scared the crap out of me as a kid.
I watched this movie way too young. It's still scary.
Yes. It's intense. It is not Dwayne Johnson Jumanji.
It is.
It is not. Like it was intense. It was real intense.
They made the board game from the movie. Did you buy it?
No, I didn't. Like to me,
It's
it was
too
like
scary.
it's like a Ouija board. Like you don't touch
Yeah.
that. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe my sister did, but I never have played Jumanji.
Yeah.
Ever.
That whole board game, even like in that audio clip of the little every time the kids would lean in and look at that lens in the middle, that kind of
Yes.
the green smoke would appear and then the font and stuff like that. And then they'd read it and you had no idea what that riddle was. And then all of a sudden it's just like a horde of monkeys or that lion shows up. Like it was just every time they rolled the dice, you were like, God, what's gonna happen? Like, it was
and none of it was good. Like, why can't one of them just been like, look, but do not fear, 1,000 lollipops will appear. Like, why couldn't something be good? You know?
What a range. What a range of
for
acting.
sure.
It's just like, I don't remember in any of these previous movies we've talked about, sure, there were dramatic pivots where you saw that side of Robin Williams, but this was a whole different ball game. It really was.
Absolutely. I have in my notes, Mr. Rock, these Jumanji movies do not hold a candle. Jumanji, as scary as it is, this 1995 Jumanji is still the best of all of them, and it still holds today. Yes, the CGI is a little shaky, but
Right.
you know, that was the time. But storyline and everything else involved, it's still a really, really good movie.
So, the fifth one that we're going to move on to is quite a pivot from Jumanji, but here we go.
Jack, how would you like to see your classroom?
Yes.
A little louder.
Yes.
A little louder, Jack.
It's so good.
You don't even have to see the clip to laugh and know, because this is how great Robin Williams does it.
Yes.
And of course, this movie is Jack. And, you know, Eric and I were talking about this. Like, we mentioned 4 movies that were definitely, I'm guaranteeing, on the radar for anyone who is listening to this. But Jack might not have been. Mm-hmm. Because it is a different type of movie. So yeah, you know, when we put this on our list, though, it resonated with me as a kid because it was just lovable and heartfelt. And as an adult in the field that I work in, it really resonated in a different way.
Yes.
Especially when we think of like acceptance and caring for one another based on our different abilities. Could you imagine how much fun he had with those kids and how much fun they had? You've got Robin Williams on your set, and you're supposed to be his friend at school.
Yeah.
That had to have been so much fun to film.
Yeah, I couldn't even comprehend that. And I don't feel like as a kid I could have. I feel like if I actually would have been lucky enough to be cast in that role, they would have fired me within like 3 days because I would have ruined every single scene of just laughing so hard. I would be so curious to see interviews of those original kid actors from that film and what memories they have of the behind the scenes things that didn't make it onto the film, or just how Robin probably interacted with them in just the sweetest way, because he's this kind of mythical creature in my mind of somebody who can speak kid and speak adult. Like, and this movie is the perfect depiction of that.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. In the beginning, he falls and he like hurts his knee, and you're watching this 40-year-old man, but it's so believable that he's a 10-year-old kid, much like it's believable that he's a Scottish woman or been trapped in a game. Yeah. But here's what's great about these movies and what's great about Robin Williams is that he hooks you instantly.
I feel like we've touched on it of like he's had to have made an impact on his co-stars, on family, on friends, when a camera wasn't present, that like it was just who he was. And so we kind of wanted to end out this episode with listing some of the different things and retelling the stories of some things that we found about Robin. And the first one that I came across just made me laugh, but at the same time choked me up quite a bit, was apparently Robin Williams became really good friends with Steven Spielberg after Hook. And when Steven Spielberg was doing Schindler's List, I mean, my goodness, talk about a heavy, heavy film. Apparently, Robin Williams actually would call up Steven Spielberg on a regular basis and leave about a 15-minute improvised stand-up on his voicemail. And that Spielberg has retold the story that he looked forward to the end of the day in knowing that Robin Williams had a 15-minute comedy bit on his phone for him, just to be a good friend and to make him feel less heavy after Schindler's List filming. Like, talk about an amazing friend.
You know, he did that in another movie that's on my list as well, that I only watched a couple times because of how heavy it was. the movie's Patch Adams, and this Make-A-Wish was a part of that movie, and the kids in those scenes are kids from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Here's what I love about this. Yes, he acted with them, but you have to know he genuinely spent extra time with them, made them laugh. The cast as well did. I mean, the scene itself in the movie is just, it's heartbreaking because you know what those kiddos, their diagnosis is, but man, it's also like tearful joy, kind of heartbreaking because you know they're having the ball laughing so much with Robin, and Robin's doing his not his adult bit, I imagine, but some more kid friendly jokes. But I mean, just him smiling and putting the red nose on when like you said, when the camera wasn't on, Robin Williams didn't go away.
No,
he's
the same
and
human
spent
being
time with those kids.
Another thing that I had stumbled across was that apparently during like the Iraq War and like Desert Storm and things like that, which interestingly I found as well that like Robin Williams was very against those wars, but he still went overseas countless times. I guarantee you there wasn't a lot of laughter happening in those wars. And for him to go over and risk his own safety, to be able to just connect with those people during the most difficult time in their life. Again, what an amazing human being. What a selfless thing to do.
Something I thought was pretty interesting with the movie Jumanji, Bradley Pierce, the child actor in that, he said he struggled with depression, and Robin, was able to help him with that. And we were talking about this. I can't speak to Robin's happiness, depression. I do wonder in the time he was feeling, or what I'm trying to say is that it wasn't easy to talk about, and it's still not easy to talk about. But like, I'm glad he was able to give awareness, and that like it's a positive to talk about the things you're struggling with. You don't have to bury it down, and I'm glad he was able to help that young child actor in the moments he was dealing with depression.
One of the last ones that I stumbled across was apparently him and Christopher Reeves were super good friends. Superman from the 70s. And so when Christopher Reeves had his equestrian accident and became paralyzed, again, another difficult thing that I couldn't even imagine, the strength that you would need to make it through something like that. But there was an interview with Christopher Reeves where he said that one day when he was in the hospital, a doctor comes barging in with a mask on, and like he couldn't quite tell who he was, in like a German accent or something, saying that he was here for Mr. Reeves' proctology exam. and sure enough, he pulls off his mask, and it's his friend Robin Williams. And Christopher Reeves, it's gonna choke me up a little bit. He said it was the first time he laughed since his accident. Like, wow, what an amazing thing to do for somebody. And so Robin, so hilarious.
I think that's beautiful. And I think it resonates with everything we've talked about today, that whether it was a small but huge gesture like that, or talking about depression, or sending a 15-minute voicemail at daily, or spending time with kids who are sick, or giving us these escapes that we've talked about today in these movies. There's a reason we started out with Robin Williams, because to me, he's never going away.
No,
he will live through us and his family in these movies in a variety of ways. I'm always so stoked to do our podcast. These episodes have been great. This week has been an emotional roller coaster ride because I got to watch or research a different Robin Williams story or movie, and there again was humor. There was heavy moments. There's emotional roller coaster ride that I loved to be on, though, and I will continue to watch these movies. And Mr. Williams, just thank you for everything, for giving me a wonderful childhood.
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Williams. You did some amazing stuff that left quite a wake on a lot of people, and I it was really fun to do this retrospective on Mr. Robin Williams. So until the next time you see us or hear us, be sure to live your life with just a little bit of whimsy. We'll see you guys later.